My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Every week, we break down full fight cards, giving you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. So make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. And this breakdown is brought to you by BETU Play to Earn. BETU Play to Earn is the world's first play-to-earn sports and esports betting game. Check it out at betuearn.com. That's bet, the letter U, earn.com. Next up, at UFC 271, we have the undercard feature fight. We have Andrei Arlovski versus Jared Vanderaa. Andrei Arlovski, 32-20 overall. He is 4-1 in his last 5. And that lone loss was a submission to Tom Aspinall last year. Jared Vanderaa, 12-6 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. And he's coming off the brutal loss to Alexander Romanov. I imagine all of you know who Andrei Arlovski is at this point. In case you don't, he is a straight-up legend, a former champion, a future Hall of Famer, and one of the most accomplished heavyweights to fight in the UFC ever. He has very good boxing, pretty good kicks, and as of late, decent grappling as well. And when I say as of late, I mean later in his career, because his last few fights were literally just kickboxing matches. He's been fighting for over 20 years, and not only does he bring all that knowledge into every single fight, he does manage to make small improvements. We've seen him make little adjustments as he gets older, as he improves, and as he sort of evolves his game plan, which is ridiculous after 20 years that he can do that. Obviously, being 43 years old, his chin is a question, and it's weird. His chin has had high and lows. It's almost like Glover Teixeira as well, where great chins most of their career. They hit a certain age, the chin immediately dropped off, and they were getting knocked out. Andrei Arlovski, at one point in his career, was just getting knocked out left and right. And then all of a sudden, that chin came back, and now he's taking shots. Chase Sherman cracked him a few times. Carlos Felipe cracked him a few times, and he did not look like he was in any trouble. So it's always interesting to see that. But Andrei Arlovski, very good striker, as we know. Incredible experience, as we know. And seems to be his chin is holding up, but 43 is a very sketchy number. Jared Vanderaa built his pre-UFC career on his grappling. He was a big, strong grappler that grappled to win. And then at Justin Tafa fight, he turned into a volume striker. Put out real volume there, won a kickboxing match. And now that he's a striker, and now that he fights like a striker, he's got a long jab, solid distance control, clean striking, in addition to his big size and his wrestling. He hasn't showcased his wrestling in the UFC, but part of that is because he's been matched up with some wrestling beasts so far, and the only one that wasn't was Tafa, and he smoked Tafa. I see this fight being pretty similar to Andrei's last 2 fights versus Carlos Felipe and Chase Sherman. I think it's a 3-round kickboxing match. The game plan that Jared used against Justin Tafa, well, that worked really well for him, and he'll probably use that against Andrei. So I don't even see Jared trying to wrestle Andrei here. I think he's going to try to strike for strike with him, and I think Andrei Arlovski is going to win. He's not Justin Tafa. I think he's got much better footwork.
For the love of God.
He's got much better footwork. I think he can avoid any damage that Jared could throw his way. He's definitely got very real power. I mentioned Jared started his career as a wrestler, but so far in the UFC, he has 1 single takedown. I actually think Jared would have more success wrestling with Andrei than striking, but both paths are uphill battles. I like Andrei to win. I've got a moneyline bet on Andrei Arlovski at -140. This is another fight where the line is moving. Jared is much better, similar to how I broke down, who was it earlier? Fabio Charant. He's similar in that he's much better than his UFC record, but Andrei Arlovski is a tall task, especially the way he's been fighting. He is 43, but I will still lay out some money and trust that chin. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Jared needs to come in with a grapple-heavy game plan because Andrei Arlovski, you mentioned he's kind of had this late resurgence. And Carlos Felipe, is a really, really, really good boxer. That's what he's known for, is his boxing. And Arlovski outboxed Felipe. It was a close matchup. I don't know if Felipe agrees with the decision for the judges' scorecards, but he was tit for tat with Carlos Felipe. At his age is impressive. And you mentioned he was getting hit as well. The chin held up. If this is a boxing match, I'm Arlovski all the way in this match. I'm glad that he's the favorite. I think it's finally people are starting to turn back onto him as far as respecting who he is and as a fighter. If I'm Jared, I would try to wrestle heavy, but I think he comes out. I think he tries to strike, and I like Arlovski all the way. I don't know if he's going to be able to put away Jared, but I could see him just kind of box his way to a 3-round victory.
Yeah, and I did a straight up money line bet. I got it at -140, but he may be the most likely outcome to this fight is Andrei Arlovski wins a decision. That's the most likely outcome. So, that's probably the best bet. I don't know what it is, but that's honestly probably the best bet there.
It is plus 135 to win by points.
Yeah, I'll stick to -140. That is a big swing, but yeah. Andrei Arlovski, this is an interesting one because my instincts were to say, of course he's going to be in my DraftKings lineup. He's pretty affordable. I'm almost positive he's going to win. But then I looked at his scores in DraftKings. They're low. He's scoring 50, 60 if you're lucky. So his scores are low in DraftKings. So I probably won't spend the $8,300 because even though he wins, it's probably not a stoppage and he's not going to put up any real numbers. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to touch him in DraftKings either because I don't think he's going to get the finish, and his chin has been suspect before, and Jared is a real heavyweight. He's not one of those small heavyweights that's trying to box, so he's got power too, so $8,300 is a little too much for me. If he was the underdog, I'd like him, but
yeah.
No.
What do you think of Monkey Knife Fight? I'm thinking more and more because, again, I think this is a 3-round kickboxing match. I think it's more and more. Look at the numbers with Vanderaa versus Tafa. Andrei Arlovski versus his last 2 opponents. More and more is probably the Monkey Knife Fight play.
Yeah, it's probably the safe bet. Like we keep saying, if Jared comes in and wrestles, things could get different pretty quickly. But in a straight kickboxing matchup, I think it's definitely a more and more play.
And this
Look
is
at
another
us,
one.
man. We're just. This is unreal.
There's no point in 2 of us.
This feels set up, honestly.
There is an opportunity to bet on Jared here because I do think it's a decision. And this could be one of those safety net bets that we've been talking about all night. You can get Jared Vanderaa wins inside the distance, decision, no action. And it's an easy opportunity to bet against Andrei Arlovski's chin, but get your money back if it holds up. So if Jared Vanderaa knocks Andrei Arlovski out, you get paid. If Jared Vanderaa loses a kickboxing decision, then you get a refund. And it never happened. That's probably a very safe bet to place here. And those safety net bets, you are only going to get them at wewantpicks.com/bets. Click on bet online, make a deposit. Let me know after you do. I'll send you $50. But that's probably a solid safety net bet here because I don't see, I don't see Jared getting finished. But Andrei Arlovski, who I don't see getting finished either, has that chin. Is it going to hold up at 43? I don't know. And if it doesn't, you get paid. And if it does, who cares? You get a refund. You don't lose your money. wewantpicks.com/bets.